Yes.
Mr. Jobs, you're a bright and influential man.
Here it comes.
It's sad and clear that on several counts you've discussed, you don't know what you're talking about. I would like, for example, for you to express in clear terms how, say, Java, in any of its incarnations, addresses the ideas embodied in OpenDoc. And when you're finished with that, perhaps you could tell us what you personally have been doing for the last 7 years.
You know, you can please some of the people some of the time, but one of the hardest things when you're trying to affect change is that people like this gentleman are right in some areas. I'm sure that there are some things OpenDoc does, probably even more that I'm not familiar with, that nothing else out there does. And I'm sure that you can make some demos, maybe a small commercial app that demonstrates those things. The hardest thing is, how does that fit in to a cohesive, larger vision that's going to allow you to sell $8 billion, $10 billion of product a year? And one of the things I've always found is that you've got to start with the customer experience and work backwards to the technology. You can't start with the technology and try to figure out where you're going to try to sell it. And I've made this mistake probably more than anybody else in this room. And I've got the scar tissue to prove it. And I know that it's the case. And as we have tried to come up with a strategy and a vision for Apple, it started with what incredible benefits can we give to the customer? Where can we take the customer? Not starting with, let's sit down with the engineers and figure out what awesome technology we have, and then how are we going to market that. And I think that's the right path to take. I remember with the laser writer, we built the world's first small laser printers, you know. And there was awesome technology in that box. We had the first Canon cheap laser printing engine in the world, in the United States here at Apple. We had a very wonderful printer controller that we designed. We had Adobe's PostScript software in there. We had AppleTalk in there. Just awesome technology in the box. And I remember seeing the first printout come out of it and just picking it up and looking at it and thinking, you know, we can sell this. Because you don't have to know anything about what's in that box. All we have to do is hold this up and go, do you want this? And if you can remember back to 1984, before laser printers, it was pretty startling to see that. People went, whoa, yes. And that's where Apple's got to get back to. And, you know, I'm sorry that OpenDoc's a casualty along the way, and I readily admit there are many things in life that I don't have the faintest idea what I'm talking about. So I apologize for that too. But there's a whole lot of people working super, super hard right now at Apple. You know, Avi, John, Garino, Fred. I mean, the whole team is working, burning the midnight oil, trying to, and people, you know, hundreds of people below them, to execute on some of these things, and they're doing their best. And I think that what we need to do, and some mistakes will be made, by the way. Some mistakes will be made along the way. That's good, because at least some decisions are being made along the way. And we'll find the mistakes, we'll fix them. And I think what we need to do is support that team going through this very important stage as they work their butts off. They're all getting calls, being offered 3 times as much money to go do this, do that. The valley's hot. None of them are leaving. And I think we need to support them and see them through this and write some damn good applications to support Apple out in the market. That's my own point of view. Mistakes will be made. Some people will be pissed off. Some people will not know what they're talking about. But I think it is so much better than where things were not very long ago. And I think we're going to get there.
Whatever you think of it, do you think somebody who happens to be a billionaire ought to be able to fund a series of lawsuits, regardless of their merit, whose real purpose is to put that company out of business and destroy them for personal reasons?
Yeah, I don't. And I will, my view on this, and again, I don't know the details of this particular situation. I don't think I really need to, because I'm thinking I will take it up a level and talk about some of the principles that I think would, in my mind, would apply here. And look, I can take this from a couple of directions, but the old saying that sometimes, I think it's attributed to Confucius. Who knows if it's really Confucius or not? But seek revenge, and you should dig 2 graves, one for yourself. And really, you just want. You always have to ask yourself, how do you want to spend your time? How do you want to spend your time and your energy? And do you really want to do that trying to right some, even if it's legitimate wrong? Like, let's say that somebody actually did wrong you. Is that really how you want to spend your time? I don't think so. I think most people, if they step back, take a deep breath, they would say, I'm going to go on and do great things. I'm going to do amazing things in the future. Then from the, I would also say that public figure, as a public figure, the best defense against, and again, I'm not going to try to get into any particular story. This is not about Peter or Gawker or any particular thing, but the best defense to speech that you don't like about yourself as a public figure is to develop a thick skin. It's really the only effective defense, because you can't stop it. You are going to be misunderstood. If you're doing anything interesting in the world, you're going to have critics. The only way, if you absolutely can't tolerate critics, then don't do anything new or interesting. And then you can insulate yourself. Then think how wonderful your life will be.
Is that the Bezos principle?
Yeah. So I would just say, it's not, move forward. It's not worth losing any sleep over. And by the way, usually people, if you see something, I don't know, you're kind of a public figure, and things have probably been written about you that you didn't think were nice.
That's true.
And my advice, if you came to me and said, Jeff, this, somebody wrote this and it really hurt my feelings, what should I do? I would say, go stand on a street corner and watch in a crowded urban area and watch all the people walk by and think about what they're thinking about. I bet you none of those people are thinking about you.
That's true.
And they're all thinking
none
about.
Of these people are thinking about.
They're all thinking. These guys are thinking about when can I get to the bar.
Now they're thinking about you.
And so you stand there on that busy street corner. All those people. If somebody wrote something about me I don't like, I'm like, I don't like that. It's not true. It's wrong. I think about that.
You're probably mad at me.
My wife says, if Jeff is unhappy, wait 5 minutes. So I would go at least as a thought
You haven't been
experiment.
Unhappy long enough to pick up the phone.
I'm not so unhappy that I'm not here.
Yeah, right. That's true.
And so
every 8 years.
That's right. You better watch it, though. I might switch to 9. And so if you're standing on that street corner, and really in your mind you can do this thought experiment, like, okay, there's a woman who just walked by. What's she actually thinking about? Probably maybe what she's going to cook for dinner that night, or that the argument that she had with one of her employees, or whatever it is. Like, it's not about us. And if you kind of just take that step back, and then there's the kind of free speech. I guess the final thing, you didn't want an answer this long. I apologize, but I'm
That's
passionate
fine.
about this issue.
I want to hear your thoughts about
it. You always have to remember, this country has the best free speech protections in the world because of the Constitution, but also because of our cultural norms. And you don't want to erode those. You don't want to create any kind of climate of fear, or chill with respect to free speech norms. And so, and the most important thing to remember about that is that beautiful speech doesn't need protection. It's ugly speech that needs protection. So, of course, that's where the rubber is going to meet the road. Somebody is going to write something very ugly, and certain people will say, well, they need to be punished for that ugly speech. But probably not, really. If you step back and think about what a great society we have, and a big part of it is the fact that we have these cultural norms that allow people to say really ugly things. We don't have to like it. We don't have to invite those people to our dinner parties. There's also, but you should let them say it.
Thanks.